Hello and welcome to Box Office Receipts. I'm your host Tyler Callahan and we got a lot of news to cover, including the Chinese box office numbers. With it now being the new year, we have multiple new releases. We also have more updates from the European film market, casting updates, streaming updates, and more. But first, let's talk about the domestic box office. So look, it was Super Bowl weekend, and that typically is a quiet one at the box office for numerous reasons, but this weekend was especially quiet. In first place for this second weekend in a row is Argylle with 6.2 million for a total of $28.5 million. In second place was Lisa Frankenstein, which debuted to 3.6 million. Third place was The Beekeeper with 3.3 million for a total of 54.6 million. Fourth place was Wonka with $3 million for a total of 205.1 million. And in fifth place was Migration with 2.9 million for a total of $110 million. So yeah, not a great weekend, and this marks the lowest box office weekend of the year so far. Argyle's second weekend drop was decent, considering its bad reception, but the issue here is it didn't open bigger. A 64% drop would have been more manageable had it opened to say $40-50 million or more. At this point, the theaters are begging for March to come. It is the Lunar New Year over in China, and with that we got multiple new releases hitting theaters. Opening in first place was YOLO with $113 million. This does not come as too much of a surprise. It is directed by Jia Ling, who made the hit movie Hi Mom a few years ago. Opening in second place was Pegasus 2 with $107 million. Third place was Boonie Bear's Time Twist, which opened at $62.4 million. Fourth place was Article 20, which opened to $47.5 million. Fifth place was the movie Emperor, which opened to $7.9 million. And opening in sixth place was Viva La Vida with $6.3 million. So far, the box office for the new year has followed the last few, where it's a bit top-heavy in regards to openings. But to be fair, top-heavy in this case is 3 to 4 movies making most of the money. But here you can see a clear steep drop-off from 4th to 5th place between Article 20 and the movie Emperor. As for the big two of YOLO and Pegasus 2, they would both need good legs to make it above $500 million each, but I think it's possible. With the holiday being over a week long, this will give people plenty of time to go out and watch them. Internationally, Argylle earned another $9.4 million for a total of $60.1 million worldwide. This might just scrape by $100 million worldwide. Anyone But You earned $9.7 million for a worldwide total of $170 million. It has now passed Ticket to Paradise and is the biggest rom-com of the 2020s, and I feel it will hold that title for a while. Wonka earned $8.5 million for a total of $587.6 million worldwide, and at this rate it will indeed pass $600 million. Poor Things earned another $6.6 million for a worldwide total of $81.2 million. Also from Searchlight, we really haven't talked about it, but All of Us Strangers is now at $10.4 million worldwide. The Beekeeper made $3.5 million for a worldwide total of $133.8 million. Mean Girls is now at $97.8 million worldwide. And Migration is at $235.2 million worldwide. For news in Hollywood, let's start with the European film market. New movies have hit the market, and some sales have already been done. Deadline has the exclusive on all of this. They've been very busy. For films bought, Prime Video has bought the international rights to Ash. Ash is a sci-fi thriller starring Isaiah Gonzalez and Aaron Paul and directed by Flying Lotus. What's unique about this is Flying Lotus is a rapper, so along with directing, he is also making the score for the film as well. It's rare to have a director be the composer as well. Sony decided to spend some cash buying 2 films. The first is the worldwide rights to A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. We talked about this one on the podcast. It's directed by Kongeda. It stars Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. Deadline is reporting Sony spent somewhere in the $50 million range to buy it. Starts filming in the spring. The company also bought most of the international rights to Celine Song's next film, materialists. They will have the international markets except for Japan, China, and Russia. As for the domestic release, A24 will handle that. And as of now, Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans, and Dakota Johnson are still in talks to star in it. Which, if they're still in talks to star in it, that's probably means they're gonna make a deal, but it's not official yet. For the other films hitting the market, Sylvester Stallone will star in The Epiphany, which will take him back to Philadelphia. He will play an older detective that is close to retirement who has to work with a young cop and a priest to stop a serial killer. The film will be directed by Will Eubank, and CAA Media Finance will handle domestic sales, while AGC International handles international sales. Michelle Yeoh will star in an action thriller called The Mother, and will be directed by Melanie Laurent. Both AGC International and CAA Media Finance will handle worldwide sales, with production set to begin sometime this summer. Elizabeth Olsen and Charles Melton will star in a new film together called Love Child. It is a dark comedy directed by Todd Solondz. Cinetic Media and WME will handle domestic sales, while Rocket Science will handle international sales. And in an exclusive from Deadline, a new film called Batso is hitting the market, which is based on a true story of climbers who climbed the most difficult path up to El Capitan back in the 70s. The film will be directed by Kyle Marvin and will star Ethan Hawke, Daniel Radcliffe, and Jessica Biel. CAA Media Finance and WME will handle domestic sales, while North 56 will handle international sales. Gore Verbinski is coming back to direct a new film called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. After 8 years, he last directed A Cure for Wellness back in 2016. As for this film, it'll have a pretty good cast, including Sam Rockwell, Haley Lou Richardson, Zazie Beetz, Michael Pena, and Juno Temple. The action-adventure film will begin filming later this year, and as for sales, CAA, Media Finance, and Gersh will handle domestic, while North 56 will handle international sales. And Will Smith will star in an action movie called Sugar Bandits. Worth noting that he is co-starring in the film and is not the lead. Also, no word on who the director will be, but I think this will be bought out soon, I think. Again, it's Will Smith in a movie, so yeah. As for the backlash from the Smith slap, we will see how much, if at all, that affects Bad Boys 4 coming out in the summer. Warner Brothers have closed a new first look deal for feature films with production company Lucky Chap, which is owned by Margot Robbie, Josie McNamara, and Tom Acknerly. It comes as no surprise Warner Brothers wanted to lock down this deal, as Lucky Chap did help produce Barbie. So yeah, of course they want to work more with them, and of course Margot Robbie. In exclusive from Deadline, they are reporting that Ian McGregor will join Anne Hathaway in starring a new film from David Robert Mitchell. Always love watching McGregor, so I'll probably be giving this a watch. In the lead up to the annual shareholders meeting, Disney has released a letter to shareholders highlighting the announcements they made during their quarterly earnings and that they should vote for Disney's directors. Quote, "Your board and management team remain committed to driving meaningful growth and creating sustainable shareholder value long into the future. Our strategy is working, as evidenced by our strong financial results in a series of exciting announcements reinforcing the company's growth trajectory, including new direct-to-consumer plans from ESPN, a transformative collaboration with and investment in Fortnite's Epic Games, and significant upcoming content releases, such as a surprise animated sequel to Moana coming to theaters, and Disney Swift's historic concert film, which will stream exclusively on Disney+. End quote. Following this, Trian released their own letter to Disney shareholders, and Nelson Peltz had an interview with CNBC. Here's a quote from the letter from Trian. Quote, "With the stock waning and Disney facing another proxy contest, Disney appears to again be trying to distract shareholders with what we see as a fanciful tale, claiming it has turned a corner and entered a new era." And with that, Disney announced a new slew of promises and ideas, most still in the process of being developed, hoping that shareholders would just believe all was well and improving. End quote. So yeah, everyone is going to keep going at it until the vote on April 3rd. In not shocking but terrible news for Sony, Madame Web reviews have come out right before its release, and it's terrible. With it at a 13% as of now on Rotten Tomatoes, it ranks as one of the worst comic book movies released, and joins another Sony non-Spider-Man movie, Morbius. There hasn't really been any hype for this movie, and now audiences know There is no reason to. Basically, at this point, people are only going to theaters to watch the Oscar nominees or Bob Marley as we all wait for Dune Part 2. Sticking with Sony, The Hollywood Reporter is exclusively reporting that they have found their next Karate Kid. Ben Wang has joined the film and will be playing the lead, with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio also starring in it. There is a small chance this could get delayed, as right now it is still set to come out in December, so they would have to start filming pretty soon. Deadline is exclusively reporting that Apollo Global Management is not interested anymore in buying National Amusements and to get control of Paramount. Apparently, the issues are due to possibly not getting regulatory approval. Still, they might be back, but for now, I think the main buyer is still David Ellison with Skydance. Also going on with Paramount this week, sadly, are more layoffs, with the company cutting another 3%, or around 800 jobs, with it being across all divisions, so not specific to any one part of the company. Hopefully those affected will be able to land on their feet quickly. Also at Paramount, Deadline is exclusively reporting that Ridley Scott is now in talks to direct the upcoming Bee Gees biopic. Apparently Paramount executives have loved what they have seen so far for Gladiator 2 and want to lock him down to making this before he found his next film. Over at Marvel Studios, they have finally announced the cast for the Fantastic Four. It turns out the rumors were correct, and Pedro Pascal will indeed play the role of Reed Richards. As for the rest of the team, Vanessa Kirby will play Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn will play the Human Torch, and Evan Moss-Bachrach will play Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. That is some solid casting, and with that, we also got some release date changes, flipping Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts will now kick off the summer movie season next year, coming out May 2nd, while Fantastic Four will come out July 25th. This makes sense, as Thunderbolts will start filming before Fantastic Four. Vertical has bought the rights to a new film called Firecracker for a few markets, including the US, Canada, the UK, and Ireland. They plan to release the action film in both theaters and on VOD sometime in early 2024, so I'd guess by April by the latest. In exclusive from Deadline, Vertical have also bought the rights to The Listener in a few markets, including North America, the UK, and Ireland. The film is directed by Steve Buscemi and stars Tessa Thompson, and it is set to come out on March 29th. Bleecker Street have bought the US distribution rights to Slingshot. The film is a sci-fi thriller starring Casey Affleck, Lawrence Fishburne, and Emily Beecham. Bleecker Street is planning a theatrical release for some time this year. Sadly, there were some deaths this week, with Diana Carew dying at the age of 81 due to cancer. She was a producer for films and miniseries, including 15 and Pregnant, and When Billy Beat Bobby, to name a few. Ed Mintz has died at the age of 83. He was the founder of CinemaScore, the polling system to gauge how audiences react to a new movie on opening night, which is something that's still being used today. I mean, we talk about it on almost every other episode. New release comes out. If it's big enough, we talk about the CinemaScore. Is it good, bad? So yeah, it's something that's still used and still very important for Hollywood executives today. So, again, thoughts and prayers are with their families during this terrible time. May they rest in peace. And fuck cancer. The sequel to Greenland Migration, will begin filming in the UK this spring. This has been in the works now for a while. The first one came out back in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, so I'm curious how this will do at the box office. The sale for all three media is finally over, with Redbird IMI buying it for $1.45 billion. The sale is expected to be completed in either Q2 or Q3 of this year. Both Warner Bros. Discovery and Liberty Global should be happy with the sale price. Deadline has the exclusive on some news going on at Amazon MGM Studios. First, Travis Knight is in talks to direct Masters of the Universe, while the studio itself is wrapping up negotiations on rights for the film. It was previously set up at Netflix. The studio has also bought a film package called Burn Night. The film is written by Chris Sparling and from Safe House Pictures, which has a first look deal with Amazon MGM. Variety has published a report on the upcoming Amazon MGM movie Roadhouse, and there are some interesting details in it. As we have talked about, the director Doug Liman has come out against the studio for not giving it a theatrical release and will boycott it by not going to the premiere at South by Southwest. Now, outside looking in, this looks very much like a simple story of a director getting screwed by the big studio. If Variety's reporting is accurate, that's not quite true. So it goes over how, yes, at the start, MGM was developing the movie for theatrical release, but then Amazon buys them. In 2022, it was worked on some more, and Amazon offered Lehman and others a choice. They could make it for $60 million, and it would go to theaters first, so it would get a theatrical release, or they could make it for $85 million, in which case it would go straight to Prime Video. And Variety reports that they chose to take the $85 million. Also in 2022, after all this was done and production was getting set up, Amazon released a press release talking about how Roadhouse is an Amazon Prime Video movie for a global audience. Doug Liman also signed off on that. I'll have a link to the article in the show notes. Definitely an interesting read. But yeah, if this is the case, then I'm not sure why Liman is being a dick about this. Like, if they chose to make it for $60 million, and then Amazon said, yeah, we're not going to actually release it in theaters, sure, they're screwing them over. Dick move from Amazon. But it seems like if the reporting is accurate here, they were given a choice. They picked the higher budget, with the condition being basically it doesn't go to theaters, right? Amazon doesn't. You're basically giving them the more money for the film, but on the flip side, they're not going to be spending money to release in theaters. So let's see what happens. We got some new trailers this week. First, Deadline got the exclusive on a trailer for Cabrini. The film was directed by Alejandro Monteverde, who directed Sound of Freedom, which comes to theaters on March 8th. Saban Films released a trailer for Knox Goes Away, starring and directed by Michael Keaton. It comes to theaters on March 15th. Bleecker Street have released a trailer for Sasquatch Sunset, starring Riley Kettero and Jesse Eisenberg. They recently bought this at Sundance. It will have a limited release in theaters on April 12th, followed by an expanded release on the 19th. Also for the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, it has broken the most watched trailer of all time within 24 hours. The trailer got 365 million views within its first 24 hours, beating the previous record holder Spider-Man No Way Home with 355.5 million views. Now, it's also being reported that Disney is counting the Super Bowl audience as part of these views, which is kind of cheating a bit since it was the most watched Super Bowl ever with 123.7 million views. Still, even looking at just YouTube stats, people are interested in seeing the movie, which is something Disney and Marvel Studios are happy to see. For VOD Premium, let's start off with Apple TV Plus, where they have renewed Invasion for a third season. The second season finished airing last October, and the upcoming third season is expected to start production by the end of February. For AMC Plus, reviews have started to come out for the next Walking Dead sequel, The Ones Who Live, which have so far been mixed to positive. Metacritic has it at a 55, and Rotten Tomatoes has it at 85%. Still, I think this is going to be a big one for AMC, as it has the return of both Rick and Michonne, and the first episode premieres on February 25th. Prime Video has released a trailer for the second half of Season 2 of Invincible. The 4 episodes will have a weekly release, starting on March 14th. Also coming to Prime Video is the second season of American Rust. This was originally a Showtime show, but was canceled after one season back in 2022. Amazon then picked it up for a second season, but for Freevee, and now on the Switch, will now premiere instead on Prime Video. So it's been moved around a lot. The show starring Jeff Daniels and Maura Tierney premieres on March 28th. Something to keep an eye on this year at Amazon is the future of Freevee. Previously, Freevee had a purpose in being the ad-supported service from Amazon as their way to make a move in the, at the time, small but growing ad-supported streaming business. Since then, everyone has more or less jumped in, now even including Prime Video. So with that being the case, what purpose does Freevee offer? And would Amazon want to keep it around as a separate service moving forward? Again, as there will be a lot of streaming changes this year, this could be one of them. Amazon is now facing a class action lawsuit from customers for adding ads to Prime Video, specifically that it became the default choice for people. The lawsuit is specifically claiming that the company violated California and Washington state customer protection laws, and that the move was a deceptive practice. Here is part of the lawsuit that was filed. Quote, "For years, people purchased and renewed their Amazon Prime subscriptions believing that they would include ad-free streaming, but last month Amazon changed the deal. To stream movies and TV shows without ads, Amazon customers must now pay an additional $2.99 per month. This is not fair because these subscribers already paid for the ad-free version. These subscribers should not have to pay an additional $2.99 per month for something that they already paid for. End quote. This is going to be interesting because while Amazon is not the first to introduce an ad tier, they are the first to force it on everyone. Netflix, Max, and Disney Plus, for example, all have added an alternative option for both current and new customers, right? When they added their ad tier, it was just launched as a separate option. New customers can sign up to it straight away. Current customers can lower down to it, right? You want to save a few bucks a month off your bill, lower down, you're all good. Amazon is the first to be like, no, everyone's now on the ad tier. You have to pay extra to get ad free. Now, I would assume Amazon's lawyers would have reviewed this as a possible issue, but we shall see. Roku had their quarterly earnings report and announced that they now have 80 million active users, which means for 2023 overall, they gained 10 million more users compared to the end of 2022. For streaming hours, they hit 106 billion hours viewed, which is up 18.6 billion hours compared to 2022. The Wall Street Journal broke the news that Walmart are currently in talks to buy Vizio. This will be a big move for Walmart as they move more directly into the connected TV and streaming market. If this goes through, they would own a lineup of connected TVs that have their own streaming service. Vizio has the Watch Free Plus, which Variety reports just added more content and now has over 15,000 on-demand titles. The obvious company that would be hurt by this the most is Roku, and its stock did drop a bit once the news broke. Over at Comcast, and more specifically NBC, they have found their lead actor for Suits LA, which will be Stephen Amell. Most known for playing the Green Arrow for years at the CW, he will now play the role of Ted Black. Now taking a look at Peacock, they have ordered a new espionage thriller series. It will star Simu Liu, with Atomic Monster producing, with both Simu Liu and James Wan executive producing. I like Liu, so I'm interested in watching a thriller series with him starring in it. Also seems lately now every week there's been a new series order at Peacock. Feels like they're really starting to ramp up production over there. Also for movies coming to the service, Troll Band Together will be available to watch on Peacock starting March 15th. At Hulu, we got some casting updates for the 4th season of Only Murders in the Building, with Meryl Streep coming back to reprise her role. She joined in season 3. Molly Shannon will be joining the show in a recurring role, playing a Los Angeles businesswoman. Disney Plus released the first trailer for X-Men 97, which is a continuation of the animated series that aired in the 90s. It'll premiere on March 20th. At Apple TV Plus, Napoleon will be available to stream starting March 1st. This will be the theatrical version of the film. No word yet on if the director's cut will come out. In exclusive from Variety, Lisa from the hit K-pop group Blackpink is joining the cast of season 3 of The White Lotus. This will be her acting debut. Also, Max is about to launch in Latin America, with it launching in 39 territories on February 27th. Over at Netflix, Deadline is exclusively reporting that they have bought a script for a movie called Apex. Written by Jeremy Robbins, it focuses on a rock climber who is being hunted in the wild. The streamer announced that the final season of The Umbrella Academy will come out on August 8th. The 4th and final season will have 6 episodes. They also released a trailer for an upcoming movie called Scoop, directed by Philip Martin and starring Gillian Anderson and Rufus Sewell. It focuses on the infamous interview Prince Andrew did with the BBC. It comes out April 5th. Adam Sandler is working on a new comedy special at Netflix, with it being directed by Josh Saffey. As for the top 10 charts for the week of February 5th to the 11th, Griselda came in first place again in English TV shows with another 10.3 million views. The first season of The Tourist came in second place with 6.8 million views, and in third place was One Day with 5.3 million views. As for English films, Despicable Me 3 came in first place with 15.9 million views. Second place was Orion and the Dark with 12.7 million views. And third place was Lover, Stalker, Killer with 10 million views. Sticking with numbers, let's take a look at the Nielsen top 10 for the week of January 15th to 21st. On the overall chart, Bluey came in first place with 1.5 billion minutes watched. Second place was Reacher with 1.23 billion minutes. And third place was Young Sheldon with 1.1 billion minutes watched. Also, it looks like Echo did not have much staying power as it dropped off of both the overall top 10 and the streaming originals top 10, which I guess makes sense as there are only 5 episodes. For movies, Lift came in first place with 1 billion minutes watched. At Paramount, there's a lot going on. Along with the upcoming layoffs, they will also be shutting down one of their niche streaming services, Noggin, as the entire staff is part of those layoffs. It featured content for preschoolers. There's no set date as for when it will be shut down, but they are no longer accepting new subscribers, and I assume over the next few months the content will be moved over to Paramount Plus. That is, if it is not already there. As for shows, Evil will be ending with its upcoming 4th season. Set to premiere sometime in May, Paramount has also ordered an additional 4 episodes as well to wrap up the story. For Star Trek Discovery, the final season will premiere on April 4th, with the season having 10 episodes. John Hamm has signed on to star as a recurring guest in Taylor Sheridan's upcoming show, Landman, starring Billy Bob Thornton. And we wrap up with a possible streaming merger. The Wall Street Journal broke the news that Comcast and Paramount have had early talks about merging Peacock and Paramount Plus, with ideas ranging from offering a bundle to going all in setting up a joint venture and merging the services. This actually kind of makes sense for both parties. While Paramount Plus has way more subscribers than Peacock, about an extra 30 million more, Comcast is in better shape than Paramount. Yes, Comcast does have a lot of debt to pay off, but they also have a litany of revenue streams to pay that off over time, while Paramount is looking for a buyer right now, or at least National Amusement is. So, if we look at the idea of a joint venture and they merge the services, it would be a win for both companies. Comcast gets a shot in the arm by merging Peacock with Paramount Plus, and would actually be, together, a stronger challenger to Max and Disney Plus at least. For Paramount, ideally, they can offset a lot of the losses Paramount Plus is still generating. Yes, it is improving on that year over year, but the losses are still in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Also, they have experience working together in streaming. We have talked about it a few times, it's not as often, but we have mentioned it. Over in Europe, they already have a joint venture set up called Sky Showtime for some European markets. So they know how to do this. They have experience. Will they actually do it, though? Remains to be seen. Again, these talks are still very early, and again, we have a looming possible sale of Paramount themselves. But that is it for this episode of Box Office Receipts. If you want to follow me on X, Threads, or Facebook, links to those are in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.